And we're live. Well, we're live, I guess. We're recording. All right. So we have with us Whitney Teal, who is a certified labor, postpartum, infant care, and doula and trainer. Is that how you say it? Did I say it right or did I butcher it?
Yes. Well, I've got multiple certifications, so they are definitely certified labor doula, certified postpartum and infant care doula, and I'm certified to train doulas as well.
You do a lot.
Yeah.
You do a heck of a lot. Awesome. Okay. So you're a doula. So tell us what a doula is. What is a doula? Why would somebody hire a doula? Well, first tell us what a doula is first.
Okay. Well, really, really technical. The Greek term is a doula is one who serves. So, big picture, that's what we do. We serve families who are on the labor side. Obviously, they're going through labor and giving birth. So, sort of like a birth coach, somebody who helps them know their options, helps them walk through the whole process of is this normal, is this okay, and having a person to also rely on. If they have a partner with them, they don't have to remember all the stuff that they have to do. So we can. You hear it.
That's okay. This is real life.
Okay, right, exactly. So even on the postpartum side, we do the same thing. So once families bring their baby home, we can help them get sleep at night or help them just navigate how to help baby adjust outside of the womb and what's normal to expect with newborns, how to help soothe, and also what they can expect recovering from birth as well. So
Awesome.
that goes into it.
So you're basically a servant to a woman who is first. So the labor, like while they're in labor, and then when they come home, and then helping the families adjust to having the baby. Basically, to sum it up, right? So
Yeah,
you gave the technical, and I gave the layman's.
yeah, pretty much a handbook. When people say that like children don't come with handbooks, it's true, but we do a lot of studying on what's normal to expect and help them to be able to thrive through parenthood in those early years, rather than kind of fall through it.
Well, I can say for those listening that Whitney was actually my doula, and she saved my tushy. So, do you do? Is this just for women who are using natural remedies or natural ways of childbirth and everything, or is this just for? Because if a woman's having an epidural, does she need a doula?
Oh, for sure. There's still so much stuff that's unknown. What still coping techniques, even before there's a time before receiving the epidural, and there's what you can expect after receiving it. There's
Mm-hmm.
just a bunch of kind of knowledge up our sleeve to kind of, I don't know, just give them that. Everybody needs emotional support,
Mm-hmm.
anyways. So that's a
Yes.
huge component. It's one of those things that's kind of hard to explain to somebody, but it's a huge piece of our support, focusing on non judgmental and being there for people while they're processing such huge life events. I always talk about I'm just supporting humans, but this is the mode in which I do it. I just honed in on the expertise of pregnancy, labor, birth, and newborns, and postpartum. Um, but we all need it anyway, so that's what I focus on.
Awesome. I love that. Um, okay, so why are we talking about this? And this for the audience, why are we talking about a doula when it comes to, toxicity in our life? Well, the reason is because, first, Whitney, will you tell us kind of your story of how you basically, when did you first know that you wanted to be a doula? Like, how did all this happen for you? Where did this come from for you? I
Yeah,
think you were kind of starting to go that route just now, so expound on that a little bit.
yeah. So I didn't know what a doula was, but I had a passion for working with families who I was a mother, so I did experience a lot of like, oh, I wish I had have known this, or I wish, a lot of those like, I wish
Yeah.
from that. So I was going to school to be a labor and delivery nurse, and throughout that journey, I had discovered a doula. and I didn't know that it was a thing. I was just very interested in why does she keep going to the hospital? Why is she working personally with clients? What does this mean? And that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to be able to work one on one with people and make a lot of the times a lifelong connection with our clients. So that's kind of how all of that started. I switched gears and searched for trainings, trying to find the right ones, and just went down that path of then becoming a business owner. So,
Mhm. Yeah. So you're not just a doula, you're a business owner, you're a trainer. So what is all that? Like you're doing more than just a doula. Don't you have I mean what part of the business is this? Like what kind of business is it for you? You have like a lot of people that you work with, right?
yes, yes. So it went from I was working with clients personally to growing and having independent contractors who work with me. So I also built, I guess, an agency to where I can talk to people on the phone and match them with doulas that I think would be a really good fit. And then I just went further and decided to train them also. So I got certified through an organization and now train the people that I can have on my team that I can match with clients so then they can feel super supported through their whole journey.
Yeah. Which, and I'm just going to say, like, when you first mentioned, so just for the listeners, Whitney and I go way back. We've known each other for a while. And so I remember when you first mentioned that you wanted to be, or that you were going to do an agency. I was like, wow, that's kind of huge.
Yeah, that's
I was
real.
so impressed. I was so impressed. I was like, wow. And I was a little bit jealous, admittedly, because I could never imagine in the situation that I was in, having the freedom to do something like that. So were there any obstacles that you had to um, were there any obstacles to developing this business and the agency, like as far as uh, motherhood and pregnancy and support? Like what were some obstacles that you had that you needed to overcome
Yeah,
personally and in your head and yourself too? Like, did you have any personal obstacles within yourself that maybe told you, like doubts or anything?
yeah, that's my answer. Like I was my obstacle. Me.
Okay.
Yes, my life is busy, and the first doula training that I took, I didn't know I was pregnant with our third. So come another
Surprise.
baby. Um, I, just to be forthcoming, like I had to learn through the course of my life to even have an ounce of self-esteem. So having a business was, what do people say, like imposter syndrome or something, like it, self-doubt crowding my back. Definitely, like, even though like I've studied and studied and studied and I can recite so much information to people, and I know this job, it took a long time to get to that part where I didn't feel like I was pretending. You know how we used to we would pretend growing up, like we're playing house or we're playing business. I used to play business, and it just felt kind of like an extension of that. Like I
Yeah.
was just kind of playing around. But I mean, I had a lot of support in an inner circle. My husband was very supportive. He's always encouraged me to just go ahead and like go do what feels the best for me. But of course, another obstacle is how do you run a business when you have children? And then in that time frame, I had two more children, so then there was five altogether, and trying to figure out how to run a business. And there's a lot of people that do it. Run your house, keep all of those things up
Mhm.
to date. They are all challenges for
Yeah.
sure. But I do look back and think, well, I could be further than I am now, which is okay because you're not, I don't want to beat myself up about that. But if I just would have had the start of self esteem to begin with, there's a
So
lot of inner stuff to kind of slug through.
yeah. So talk about that with the self esteem. Like what did it take for you to get there emotionally and psychologically? What did you do to kind of overcome that, to grow that self esteem, or did you, or you still struggle with it? I'm just
um,
asking.
Yeah, well, with sometimes, sometimes whenever I'll have a training come up, I'll still feel feelings of like nervousness or doubt or like, why am I teaching these people? But it's so funny because every time I have the training, I'm like, that was amazing, and they loved it, and I loved it, and I'm just myself during them, so I have experience to share. So basically, I just kept going forward. There was just something for some reason I didn't.
It's
I tried to
funny.
talk myself into quitting many, many times, but
Yeah.
I never did. There were so many times where I would tell my husband, like, I'm not cut out for this. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm not even really sure why. I don't know. I think sometimes when we have stress, we end up thinking like there's some sort of failure involved, but like stress is just going to happen and it's normal. Um, and you have to learn new things. But
Yeah.
I guess just piling on those things that I learned and looking back and being like, well, I was scared to death to do this, but I did that, and that was the outcome. So seeing the results
So
definitely get me going.
you did it afraid, right? You did it like even though
Sure.
you were scared, you just pushed forward and was like, you know what? I have this experience, like you said a minute ago. I have this experience, so this is what I'm going to do. Is that kind of how it went?
Yeah, for sure. I'm just
So
guess used to doing stuff afraid. You can do it, just do it afraid. It's fine.
yeah, didn't Joyce Meyer coin that? I think she coined that.
Or maybe I
Do
don't
it
know.
afraid. Somebody did. Not
We're
trying to take
all
anybody steal anybody's thunder, but I think it was coined by Joyce Meyer. But either way,
yeah.
um, so okay, you had your husband's support. How huge was that to have his support?
It was very it's very encouraging to have somebody to just kind of fall back on in those moments where you are doubting yourself so much, and you have the person who can encourage you
Mhm.
and kind of even recite some of the things like, look what you did, like you owned this, you've done this, and you're like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I did do that.
yeah, you're right. um the organization that I don't want to go away from your question.
No,
What
go
was
for it. No, just talk. Just
it
go for
for?
it. It's
Okay.
okay.
The organization that I certified as a trainer through, which is Pro Doula, the CEO of that, she's more of a businesswoman and also like a mentor to people. So she's done a lot of encouraging. One of the things she says is like make an why I don't suck list, and I did years ago. Started it, and it's easier to fill the more you do it. So
I love that. I think I might have to steal that.
right, the
Because
why
I
I
have a
don't.
similar so I have a list, I have people write a list of, you know, what they love about themselves, but I like it phrased that way. That's actually really funny.
Why I don't suck. I have a why I don't suck list, and all the
Yeah.
stuff that I write is true. It's definitely true. So
So one
yeah.
of the next question was as far as like, you know, your husband's support was just support from other people. So I guess
Mhm.
she would be one of them. But what about, you know, just family and like your kids, you know, the older ones? Were they how did they handle? Because being a doula, you're gone a lot at night, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Depends. Yeah, like if you do births, you can be gone for hours and hours and hours,
so
sometimes a couple days. Um,
so is there a
so
lot of stress involved with that and like raising, would you say 5 kids?
yeah. So in the beginning, I didn't really know how to run a business, so I would just attend births and be like, yeah, sure, like that amount will work, and it wasn't really ran as a business. So finding that medium to be like professional and compassionate at the same time came a little bit later. But in the beginning, I can remember a birth being there for 33 hours, and it wasn't yours.
I'm laughing because mine wasn't you. My 44-hour one wasn't you.
No, it wasn't. Um, but there is definitely stress on the family in the beginning. Like somebody, if you operate that way, so over time, just getting different support systems in, like working on call with people, like sharing a call, or charging what I need to this for this to be sustainable. Um, but working as a postpartum doula, which is what I do a lot more of now, it's a lot of nighttime work, which I kind of feel worked really, really good for us because we have kids and they're sleeping at night. So,
Mhm. Your
so
kids behave though, I'm sure. Like mine don't go to sleep if I'm not here. So
yeah,
it's a
oh,
little bit challenging.
yeah, we're in a
So
bad now. So,
yeah. So let me ask you a question. If you hadn't had the same support that you did have, okay, if you hadn't had that support from your husband and from, from others, how might things look different for you? Do you think you would have been able to pull it off if you hadn't had that support?
I'm a frustratingly stubborn person. So,
You would have made it work.
mm, I just feel like in this scenario, I would have found a resource. I'm very resourceful. So if I really wanted to do it, I would have found resource somewhere else. But it may have taken me, I may have decided when I was like 40 or 45 or something. So in the early years, I probably would have given up,
You
really,
think so?
and and thought about it for a long time and thought, oh, I really wish I would just do this. I could do this, and thought about it. I would have thought about it for a long time.
I know for me, like as owning a business has been so much easier and has flowed so much better having somebody that supports you. I mean, I can't imagine, well, I can imagine because I did it,
Mhm.
not having support from somebody to pursue your own dreams. So this was a dream that you had, or that came alive in you, rather. This is kind of
Mhm.
a goal and a dream that you had. And um, so we kind of talked about the steps that you had to take to overcome your obstacles. Um, but how has pursuing your goals and your dreams, how's that changed your life? So we're talking about that if you had waited, you might have waited till you were much older, right? So
Mhm.
how has being able to accomplish this kind of just changed your life for the better, for the worse? Like what has it done for you?
I think the huge difference would be I didn't before. I probably would have just let life happen and just gone along with it rather than being resourceful and working on the things that I need to, like just going and getting it, as cliche as that sounds, just
Making it
going and
happen.
getting it, like just making it happen. Like there's ways to make things happen. So maybe not at our pace, but
Maybe
I
what?
maybe not at our pace exactly,
Hmm.
but I don't know, I just believe that if it's a desire, like there's a way to make it happen. There's a way to
Right.
go get it.
So, do you feel like having accomplished this goal and built the agency and created this business and, this thriving business that is doing really well, do you feel like it's kind of set you guys up to not have to not have to worry so much as far as like what am I going to do with my life? Not speaking financially, but just your peace of mind um with where you're going in life. That's kind of where I want to take this. Like do you feel satisfied that you accomplished this? You see what I'm trying to say? Am I making sense what I'm trying to ask?
Mhm. I do feel satisfied. Um, it's opened up a whole lot of opportunity for us,
Mhm.
a whole lot of opportunity. And sometimes it seemed like there wasn't going to be, like, am I doing all of this for nothing? Because it takes time. So it's kind of like just going like faith, moving forward, just keep moving forward, even though you can't see what an outcome would be. My husband just started his business, so we were talking about the same thing. Like it always takes risk. It always takes some sort of risk. You're gonna, even if it's not a huge amount of money, it's your time. So I just feel really satisfied with it because we just talk about doing so much more and like things that say maybe when I was 25 years old didn't even seem like a possibility. Now I just I
Like
don't
what?
know.
Like what?
Oh gosh, even like a house that you might want.
Mhm.
Buying a certain house you might want. That's what I was talking about with like having life kind of happen to you. rather than just I kind of saw myself in a certain box. Like I saw myself being a certain way and never really looked outside of that and thought that I don't have to have this certain, even, okay, we weren't talking financially, but like poverty mindset. Um, so even when it comes to like getting a house or vacations or just ways we imagine our life to be, doing things we want to do, I can actually see it. Does that make sense? Because
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
when you're
Yeah.
younger, it just feels like I don't know. I don't know. It's like the brain you kind of grew up with. You're taking it with you, and you're just kind of like thinking the same way all the time until you go, oh, I don't have to live like that.
Yes,
I can
exactly.
change that.
Exactly. And that's kind of like you said it, that's kind of where I was taking that. That like you hit the nail on the head that you have a decision that you can decide if you want to live a certain way or not. And you have a decision, do I want to stay where I'm at or do I want to change or do I want to take it a different direction? Do I want to do this? So, um what would you tell someone who wants to do something that maybe they feel like they have their own obstacles or you know they want to build a business or they want to do something that seems far-fetched, but what would you tell somebody that's in the position that you were when you decided to do this? If they, let's say that they're afraid, or they feel like they can't do it, that imposter syndrome, what would you tell somebody?
Mhm. I guess the first thing that comes to mind would be like uncensored. Just imagine, let yourself dream. Just dream. Don't get in your head. Don't do anything else. Just let yourself dream. How do you see yourself? Write that down. Picture what's surrounding you. Where are you? Who are you with? And write all of that down. I'm a list maker also, so
You're
that's what I
what?
would do. I'm a list maker, so
Yeah.
that's what I would do. Um, I would just let myself dream freely without any doubt getting in the way because there's no harm in it. You're not making any decisions right now. And write it all down. Type it all out. Put it in a Word document. Just let yourself dream. And then pick one thing out of there. How would you get to there? How would you get to this
Awesome.
next one? So
Love that.
make the
Love that.
steps on how to do it. You just have to take one, not all of them. It's so scary to think about huge things down the road. So just one.
Mhm. Yes. So, how has your faith played a role in making these things happen for you?
Um, well, I just kind of live every day, really, just go wherever my heart is. It sounds so cheesy. It sounds so cheesy, but like where my desire and my passion is, and like through prayer and getting to know myself more and knowing where I'm comfortable with certain things, like I just trust that there will be doors closed, there will be um, intuition. I mean, like there's the Holy Spirit. There will be that Holy Spirit giving you the message of this is not a good idea or whatever. So I just if I take it to the Lord and I feel confident about how I'm approaching things with full trust in His will, then I mean, He's given us this life to like live passionately how we are. So,
Yes. Like he
and
gave
then,
you this life and he designed you to live it abundantly. And that doesn't just mean um, abundance doesn't necessarily mean material. It means with, your what you're doing and to live it to the fullest. Why would he create such, so many opportunities if he didn't want you to take advantage of them? So like you said, he would you say guidance would be a good way to kind of paraphrase what you just said, like a lot
yeah,
of guidance.
yes, like why thinking about His love for us and He created us. So we get a lot of messaging from the world that we have to stay one certain way.
Hmm.
So I just, like it's the timeline of life. You grow up, you get married, then you have babies. First, hold on. I'm sorry. You go to college. See, I didn't finish. I didn't finish college. So, That one, that one left
So,
off. But
yeah,
that's it. You go to college, you get married, you buy a house, you have
yeah.
a baby. Like there's like this order to do things, or there's just this certain way to do things. And I've run into a lot of people, like just not a lot of people, I guess, live outside of that box of thinking that it has to be that way. So that's kind of the people you might run into
Mm.
that might contribute to some doubt of like, oh yeah, what am I doing? When I first started, people would say things like, "So are you still like doing the doula thing?" And I'm
Like it's
like,
not a legitimate thing.
yeah. Oh, you mean like running my business? Yes, that's what. Yes, I'm still doing that. I still have like
Yeah,
my job, really.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's what
that's
it's
what people ask me about the coaching. So you still doing the coaching? And they're like contort, and it's like, yeah,
right.
I am.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you said, they got to live outside the box or think outside the box. And if it's outside of the norm, it can be hard for people to just understand. And so we have to be understanding that they don't understand
Mm-hmm.
and share and educate. And that's where connections are made, is when we can just be open and open minded, that not everybody knows everything, and that's fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, all right, so you're a mom of five, so you
Mm-hmm.
did a lot of this pregnant.
Yes.
You're pregnant for pretty much the entire building out of,
Yes.
of your business.
Yep. Yep.
How did you do that? Because I know
Uh,
that when I was pregnant, I was not even thinking about trying
trying
to
to
tackle anything stressful or I mean, I just wanted to I just needed to get through it. I just needed
Mhm.
to get through the pregnancy. So how did you actually have the the wherewithal to pull yourself together to do something as cool as this is while being pregnant, like, for a long time?
Yeah. Over and
They
over
were
and
kinda
over.
like bam, bam, bam.
Yes, they are. The last four are 2 years apart. So,
Yeah.
um, well, I'll be honest about that also. I am somebody who needs to tell myself, like, you don't have to do all of the things. Like, you don't have to encourage or push me.
Mhm.
That's in my blood. It just is every day, like, ready to go. It's the opposite of what I need. I am one of those people to learn to rest, needs to learn to rest. So, yeah, I had a lot of support through other doulas too that would say, like, your business will be there when you're ready to get back. I like that about the business too. I mean, one of the reasons why I started it is because, well, to support people, but also women who are giving birth and can work whenever without the
Mhm.
pressure of like what the world is telling you to hurry up and get back to work, like, but to really encourage people to do what works best for them. So I had to adopt those same principles for myself
Mm.
and really choose myself. Even if I had people working for me, they're independent contractors, so like it would wax and wane sometimes, and I was just honest about it.
Yeah.
um, and kind of like unapologetically honest about it, because I'm kind of like, what is it, a martyr? If I'm supporting people and encouraging them to do the same thing, and I'm like killing myself while I've got a newborn attached to me. So
Yeah. So it sounds like you had some really good boundaries.
I had to learn them. Yes, I will. I am somebody who would end up realizing I'm too stressed when I'm like too stressed already, and then I'm like, oh, I need to scale back. Or but over time I've definitely learned to just listen to exactly what I need, and I'm fine with putting things on pause if I have to. That is another reason why the agency is so helpful, because then you have somebody else that goes and does the work.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, all right, so let's talk about the actual having a doula. Okay. So from the from the client side of things. So, how does having a doula, you talked a little bit about this in the beginning, but let's come back to it. So, how
Hmm.
does having a doula help a woman? I know you mentioned just kind of knowing what to expect. So, but let's say that while she's while she's in it, let's take labor. Okay, let's just go with labor because that's what most people think about first um, when it comes to having a baby. How does it help a woman to have a doula during labor? Let's just say labor and postpartum, though both of those together.
Well, one of the things, just one of the things, it reduces fear
Awesome.
for sure.
Yeah.
And having somebody who's in your corner who is non-judgmental rather than of anybody who works for me and myself don't ever push a certain way to parent or give birth. I have zero emotional attachment to what somebody would choose. I am just a caring, objective person in the picture. So
Mhm.
then, if they have somebody like that, somebody they can process decisions with, then they'll ultimately feel confident in the decision they made, even if the outcome isn't exactly what they were hoping for. They feel good rather than rushed through making decisions or um, kind of like birth is happening to them.
Yeah.
They can decide things for themselves and they have somebody who they can ask all the questions to that doesn't say, but I wouldn't do that. Like,
Absolutely.
don't go down that road. They hear it from everywhere. They hear it everywhere, even to types of bottles people were going to use. Like they hear like, but I use these. These were the best. Those were terrible. Like, so it definitely reduces fear to have a doula and instills strength. I mean, they have that safe place to find their own power that they can feel confident in.
Yes.
There's magic. Magic happens when you're truly supported.
Oh, yeah.
It happens.
Absolutely. And I would say it's very much like having a coach. I mean, you're basically a coach. Because like you said, you're not telling them what to decide. You're helping them make the decisions that they want to make. Is that fair to say?
Yes, definitely.
So how does having a doula help the man? Because um, a lot of men, well, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but seems to me, let's put it that way, seems to me like there would be a large majority of men that maybe don't know what to do, and then there's probably a large majority that do know what to do, and so where does it come in for the men for to have a doula?
Yeah, so basically we take the exact same approach and get their feel on what role they want to have. So I always ask people whenever I work with them if they want to be more of a coach,
Mhm.
or like a teammate, or a witness to what's happening. And we support either. Some people would much rather be at the top of the head while their partner's giving birth. Um, so we take that approach, and again, no judgment, no matter what they decide. And we provide them with tools where if they want to be more hands on, they can be with their partner, or and they know that we're in the room with them so they can they can kind of let some of that emotional burden fall on us too, to where they don't have to think of every single thing that they need to do next. Or a lot of our support is maybe like eye contact. If there's
Yes.
some nervous looking eye contact, then I might just reassure and say this is completely what we would expect during labor. So just
Mhm.
that reassurance. So it definitely brings reassurance, and I think like guidance so they can figure out exactly how they want to support too, because the experience is important for them as well.
Yeah. I can definitely say that that was the case for me, like not knowing because every pregnancy is different or every labor is different, right? Every labor and every pregnancy is different. So one person can have three different experiences.
Hmm. Yeah,
So, yeah, I can
yeah.
definitely say that.
I tell people that all the time. Like contractions feel different too. I've had five, and contractions never felt the same. They
Yeah.
always felt different.
Wow.
So even that, a lot of times, the woman who's giving birth might contact us and say like, "I'm good. I feel confident but I feel like he needs the help. Like because they want to take care of them so much. So she might hire us because then she doesn't have to worry like making sure he's eating or making sure, whatever support person in the room with them is also taking care of themselves. They want their doula to just make sure like the whole room, everybody's ate, everybody's getting rest when they need to. So
Yes. Yes. So, we're talking about toxicity on Break Free, Stay Free. Okay.
mhm,
So, when it comes to pregnancy and like what would you tell a pregnant woman that wants to do something big? I kind of asked this question earlier, but I
mhm,
wasn't very specific to a pregnant woman. And I
mhm,
say that because, like I said, with my personal experience, I couldn't imagine accomplishing anything big while I was pregnant.
mhm.
Um, so, what would you tell a woman who is pregnant that has dreams, that is in the position that you were in the beginning? What would you tell her, um, as far as if she feels that she has something holding her back? As like, and I guess what I mean by that is if a woman feels that being pregnant holds her back from accomplishing her dreams, I think would be a better way of asking it. What would you
Mhm.
tell her?
But it doesn't.
Fair enough.
But it doesn't. It
Why?
totally
Why?
doesn't.
Yeah. Can you explain or expound on that? So she's totally convinced that because she's pregnant, she needs to wait until after the baby's born to do anything with her life. She just needs to be pregnant right now.
Yeah. Well, one, she clearly already has the desire. And anything that we do starts with an idea. So she's already started. So now she's literally standing in our way.
Hmm.
So um, I would tell her, like, you've already started. Everything
Yeah.
starts with an idea. You're already there. Like, you already want it. It's already in there. So again, let yourself dream. Write it down. See what steps you have to take. If you feel like you can do them, one or two. I think we
Yeah.
kind of think all or nothing, but it takes time. Just putting
Hmm.
one foot in front of the other. Imagine yourself 5 years from now, because our babies grow up. They
They do.
definitely do. And I'm supportive of either way. Like if people want to wait for their babies to get a little bit older. But I know we're all different also. And so some of us might be sitting at home being like, oh, I can't. I'm like itching to do this. So,
Yes. Yeah.
and I completely get that. And also, if it's something that's going to bring you joy and help you keep hold of you, who you are personally, because it's very easy to have your babies and then get lost in all of the to dos and forget about yourself.
Hmm.
So I for sure would encourage anything that helps them to continue feeling like Whitney, whatever their name is, because we are multiple people. I'm not
Yeah.
just a mom, which is, I'm still myself.
Hmm.
And that doesn't mean I have to have a business either, but I just do.
You just do.
I do.
Awesome. All right. Well, Whitney, I love talking to you. I always love talking to you. You always have such like bright answers. I love the way that you answer all these hard questions. But thank you so much for coming on with us today. And I hope you'll come back.
Anytime. Anytime you want me to. It was fun. I could talk about this all day also.
I know. I could too. I could. Because, like I said, having a doula for me, it definitely helped me not be afraid. I mean, you were spot on with that. So, and it just helped really remove that toxic cycle that we go in our own heads of I can't do this and the fear and the mental blocks and the mental toxicity for sure.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. For me, it was similar when I had a postpartum doula. But on the flip side, because my toxicity would be like, well, I have to do this, I have to accomplish this, or I'm this, and then like think poorly of myself. But having a postpartum doula who was from my team come to my house and be completely non-judgmental, I could faithfully and just confidently let somebody help me with my baby and not feel like I had to do everything.
Yeah.
And then I could check out and take care of myself for a little bit.
What
What
about
about
postpartum depression?
depression?
Do you ever help anybody with that?
Yeah, so I'm trained to recognize the signs of it. And when I train doulas, like that's what I tell them, and this is what is commonly spoke of in our certifying organization, is that we a lot of postpartum doulas kind of have the idea that we go in and check off a list. Like, what do you need the dishwasher unloaded or laundry done? And we do those things, but they're not our primary focus, because if we fall into that role of being a taskmaster, then they likely won't tell us certain things where we can pick up on those cues. Um, so we ask personal questions. We have personal conversations with our clients, and um, again, are that non-judgmental platform. So when things like that come up, and they do, because it is very common, then we have resources. We can have that conversation with them because we've already built that relationship.
Mhm.
And then we're available and supportive of them to get proper help. So there's no counseling on our part, but, and of course, depending on severity of things, it's we're kind of like that first line of defense. We're in their home, and we can't stop it from happening, but sometimes just having somebody there, you can take care of yourself. You have time to take care of yourself also.
Yeah.
But
You can kind of help spot it early so you can take care of it early.
yeah, for sure. All of the perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, which commonly people think that there's just postpartum depression, but we're trained to recognize the signs and symptoms of all of the other ones as well. So we can respectfully point that out and get help for them and know when to act if it's an emergent situation, or, if it's a little less emergent but need attention.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, cool. All right. Well, Whitney, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
And any last words, anything that you want to add before we go?
It's funny. What comes to mind is I'm like, well, even if you don't want to work with clients a day in your life, like a doula training, especially through the organization I trained through, and yes, I'm a little bit biased, but I feel like everybody should take it. I feel like everyone should take it, because there's so much focus on non-judgmental support and attunement, and just really being able to be that
Mhm.
person for people. So I feel like everybody would benefit from it.
I do. I agree. I agree. I thought about it, and
Yeah, it's just something great.
I haven't entirely ruled it out.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you again next time.
Awesome.
All right. Bye
Bye.
bye. All right.